Hello, this is Tanya, and this is Clueless in Suburbia.
These are spirit fingers. These are gold.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Today, I have with me one of my very best friends, Alyssa.
Hi.
She was probably one of my biggest supporters when I told her that I was planning on starting a podcast. And she is, like me, very much into movies and TV shows and music and stuff like that. So I feel like we do relate about a lot of that most of the time. So I'm very excited to hear her answers to all of my questions today. Do you have anything to add?
Bring It On did not make my top 5 favorite movies.
I'm really surprised because I feel like our intro being the Spirit Fingers was like when we did that, I was like, and when I was like, oh my God, wait, this is probably one of hers.
It was very, very close. It's not.
Is it in top 10?
Top 5. It's top 10.
Okay. That is a great. It's like probably one of the most like me. I remember me and one of my cousins when I was little, like always like would rewatch it at like sleepovers and always like try to do little cheer. Like she did cheer. I did. I tried for like a little bit when I was younger and I was really bad at it. But she was the supreme cheerleader when she was in high school.
I can recite that movie from start to finish, like down to the music intro and the last song of playing in the credits.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So I'm going to go right into it. The most full loaded question is, what is your top 5 favorite movies? No exact order.
This was the hardest thing to do for me because...
And I told you these questions like weeks ago.
Because I overthink everything. But I decided to go off of what I rewatch the most, which is why it is kind of surprising that Bring It On is not in the top 5. But I don't know why that didn't make it actually, but it just didn't. Should I just throw them all out there? Or?
No, I would do one by one and then just do like a nice little explanation of like maybe why, or then usually I'll try to like throw in questions asking like specific things about them or like, did you know? Because I like know little facts, but yeah.
So the first one, which is one that you probably guessed, is Titanic.
Oh, okay, yes. For some reason, I didn't think about that one. Now I feel really stupid for not thinking of that one.
I really thought for sure that you would know.
I did. For some reason, that is not one that came through my mind. And I literally like send you things I find on like Marketplace of like Titanic Barbie dolls.
Yes, that's why I was shocked. I'm shocked that you don't know that as one of them, but it's just classic. I don't have to explain why it's good because everyone knows cinematically why it's a great movie.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic, and it's just. It's got it all. It's got a little action, a little romance. I like period pieces, and it's a period piece. I think that both Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet were good in it, obviously. Just classic. Classic. Can't go wrong with it. It's 3 hours long, so if you're having a rough day, you can just dive into it for 3 hours. And
Did your parents stop you from seeing the nude scene in it?
No. They took me to the movies to see it 3 times when I was
really?
in second grade. Yeah, I wanted to keep going, and it used to. Fun fact for anyone that lives in this area, there used to be a little movie theater in Bayville, which is no longer there, sadly. But that was one of the places I went to see it before it closed down.
I feel like I remember when that first came out, like, or I remember when it first came, I guess, like to like VHS or on normal TV. And I remember like my parents making a big deal out about watching it. I remember like even being like a little kid and like noticing it even that like same week playing like from the window of like a neighbor's house, like seeing a neighbor watching it and being like, oh my God, this is like the biggest movie in the world. But I also think it made me kind of really scared to go on boats for a long time. Like I remember being so little that it actually, like I still have never gone on a cruise ship. Probably because I could never afford it when I was little, like my parents couldn't. But like, I feel like I always think of it in the back of my head. Even as an adult, I'm always like, oh God, Titanic. Do I want to go on a cruise? I don't know. Like,
see, weirdly, it never scared me like that. But I don't know. I just love that movie. So I'm just surprised you, like that's still on my head that you didn't guess that one.
I know. I don't know how I didn't do that. But that is a great one. I would say it's probably one of the biggest like movie releases from like the 90s when we were right. Did it come out? Yeah.
I was in second grade, so probably like 1997 or 8.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah, it had to. Yeah, because I was in my the second house I ever lived in. I remember because I remember the neighbor that I was looking in the window of. It like that's when I lived in that during that period. All right, what's your next one?
All right. So the next one is Legally Blonde.
Okay.
Is that one you would have?
That is one. Yes, I kind of. That was one that was like bouncing around my head. That one could.
Is that one? Is that one on Nikki's as well?
No.
Oh, that was the one I
No.
thought could be a crossover.
No.
Wow, because I feel like she likes that movie a lot. Also, I mean, that's just the ultimate girl movie to me.
Girly pop movie.
Yes. I
Yeah.
definitely idolized Elle Woods when I was a child, or when did that? Do you know when that came out?
That definitely came out. I was in that same house when I was really the one that Titanic came out on. So it had. I think it might have been 99. I think off the top of my head.
Or very, very early 2000s,
Yeah.
if not 99.
I actually remember the first time I ever saw that was when I was really okay. So when I was little, because this is when like pay-per-view was a thing, and for some reason my mom realized one of the pay-per-view channels, even though she didn't pay for it, but one of the channels was running all day for like free, and that's how and I remember I watched it twice. Like it played twice throughout the day, and I was like, this is so good, I want to watch it twice. And my mom was, I remember her being like, this was such a cute movie, and she bought it for me on DVD, probably because it's like an empowering woman movie too.
Well,
so
I feel like that's one of the things that I like so much about it. It's a movie that my mom and I will rewatch together like all the time, and it's just a cute, I mean, it is, it's just like an empowering girl power, but like in a really nice, soft, feminine way.
yes.
Like it's just cute. It's all the feels.
Did you like Legally Blonde too? Red, white, and blonde.
I'm gonna go with no, unfortunately, because I don't even know the name of it either.
Really? My mom got it for me for Christmas one year. I have it. I still have it on DVD, but it's not as rewatchable as the first one.
No, I mean, I probably liked it when I saw it, but like I've definitely not gone back and rewatched it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Elle Woods, I did not like the second movie as much.
And then we did see something about, we talked about it like a smidge, or like about how they're coming out. Now they just recently announced they're coming out with like a prequel type situation.
Yeah. And hopefully that'll be good. I mean,
I don't know if they said did they say anything about what streaming service it might be on? I don't know if they announced that yet.
I don't know if it's just in my head that it's Amazon or I'm not sure. Possibly Amazon, but I could be making that up.
Yeah.
Or Peacock, maybe?
I don't know how Peacock too much is with their show. I mean, I watched Apple Never Falls, and that was like a Peacock exclusive. I feel like maybe they are getting better.
I kind of think it was Amazon.
Amazon has been really stepping up their TV show game. So if it is through Amazon, I have faith in it.
I feel like there's quite a few shows that are on Amazon that I actually really, random shows that I like, so.
Well, I'm excited. I probably will check it out. I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the disappointment, though. I feel like most things that have been re-released like that tend to not be that great, but since she's such a part of it, maybe it'll be good.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't want to spoil one of Nikki's right now, but we were talking about like the Mean Girls musical and how it was just like so disappointing. But anyway, but on to the next one. What's your third?
Okay. My third is the original Halloween.
All right.
I had to throw a horror one in because I do love horror movies. And so the way did I say this already? The way I picked all my movies is by what I rewatch the most.
Yes.
I think I did say that. And I've rewatched that movie also countless times. It's just classic horror to me. I feel like it was kind of like the first big horror blockbuster movie that really took off. So I like that about it. And I love Halloween, and I mean, obviously it's called Halloween, but I feel like it truly has that nostalgia factor of Halloween, and I don't know, just when life was still simple, even though it's a horror movie.
I remember when we came back, I don't know if it was on the way to California or the way back, but you watched one of the new Halloweens on the plane, I remember.
I did, actually, now that you mentioned that. Yeah, and I've seen probably all of them, not in the correct order, but I've probably watched all of them at some point. I mean, they're not all great, but
yeah, there's definitely some duds in that franchise.
Yeah, and I mean, he should have died at some point. Like,
he just keeps
like he just never has died, and it doesn't make sense. But I still really like the first one is just perfect. Like, it's the perfect horror Halloween. And I like it. The other thing I like about the first one versus some of the newer ones is that it's not all blood and guts.
Yeah.
It's about the like chase, and like that's the whole movie. I find it to be so suspenseful because you just hear the music, and the music was made for the movie and was so good. And I feel like that build up throughout the movie is just what
does it for you.
Does it for me, yeah.
I really like Jamie Lee Curtis, which I feel like I just watched the other day at work, Prom Night, and which was like a 1980s.
You were saying that.
Yeah, and she's the lead in it with that too, and that's like another like 80s like slasher movie. But
I do want to watch that.
Well, what's funny about it is there is like this. It's a slasher movie, like classic slasher movie, but because it was during like peak disco time, the prom scene in it is like has like a 15-minute like disco dance montage of everyone. Like it's just so random thrown, but it's the most memorable part in it. Other than that, it is like a very like good 80s slasher, but the disco part, it's funny. I went on Letterboxd and like reviewed it, and every person just talked about the disco dancing like at the prom instead of like the actual
movie
issue that was going on in the movie, which was like a little girl was murdered and they're trying to figure out like who was the person killing the kids that were involved.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
That's on my list now. Ever since you brought it up.
Yeah. All right, and your fourth?
The fourth would be Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I mean, that just gives me all the feels.
Jason Segel.
Yeah, Jason Segel, my man crush.
Yes.
But it's just good. It's just like you're having having a bad day. Like that movie, you watch it and you just smile at the end of it. Like you just feel so warm. I don't know. It's so cute.
The vampire part was always my favorite.
I was just gonna say part of what makes it so good too is the Dracula, his whole Dracula play, and he actually composed that song.
Okay.
Which I did a little research on as I was looking into my movies. And I thought that was really interesting because I didn't know that. So I thought that was cool. But I just love how like the whole movie is light and bright and they're in Hawaii. But then there's a contrast of him being Dracula and having this darkness to him. And it seeps out. But at the same time, he's just a big baby.
Did you watch Freaks and Geeks?
Yeah.
And I love Jason Segel on that.
He's
I feel
so
like
good in that. And whenever I talk about loving Jason Segel, everyone's like, "Oh, How I Met Your Mother," and I'm like, "No, he's not likable in How I Met. I don't like him in How I Met Your Mother, but I love him in Freaks and Geeks. I loved him in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He was just so cute, sweet.
He's definitely one of my like. If I think of like male actors that are very attractive, I would definitely put him in that list.
Yeah.
He's very charming too.
And I feel like he's the kind of guy, if you ran into him, which I actually have heard this, but I've always felt this way. If you ran into him out in a bar or something, like you would have a conversation with him and he'd just be really chill. And that's, I think, when he films when there's movie sets going on in Philly, like he's like sometimes in the background, like doing funny things, or like if people are taking pictures, he'll like hop in the background and like pose or do something cute. He's just funny. Like I feel like that's what makes him so good in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's also about a relationship he had.
Okay.
So I feel like you can tell it's like, I feel like even though he's acting, I feel like it's really him coming through. And I think that's part of what makes it so good is like he's showing his vulnerability.
Yeah. That's a great one to have in the top 5.
And it's again one I rewatch the most. So
I feel like that is very rewatchable. I feel like that's definitely one like that, and like We're the Millers. I feel like are two like like that those two like comedy ones I'll watch, and I always like pick up on little jokes that I didn't notice before too.
Yeah, and they're like new. They're not new anymore, but like
the tail end
in the scheme of things, like they're kind of newer comedies. I would say. I guess not really.
Moving on to your 5th, your final one.
Do you have a guess?
I want to say Mean Girls. No. Okay.
Honestly, I mean,
that's probably top 10. I would think. No.
Top 20.
Okay.
I like Mean Girl. I mean, we're changing. I don't think Mean Girls is overrated. That's not what I want to say, but it's just not a top for me. Like, I feel like there's some things in the movie. Like, I don't love the whole animal scene when they're like in the high school fighting and like it's like,
okay.
Like there's things about it that it doesn't make the perfect movie for me.
Okay.
I love it. No hate to Mean Girls, but it's like top 20.
Okay. So what is your number 5?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I should have freaking guessed that too. Oh my God. Because you do love that movie.
It's funny because I'm like, I bet Tanya is not thinking of this movie, but like when I say it, it's going to click for her.
Clementine.
I just love that movie.
Yeah.
And my other fun fact is I didn't watch that movie. Like it came out almost probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, but I didn't watch it until maybe within the last 3 to 5 years, somewhere in that area. And the second I saw it, I fell in love with it and I rewatched it. And it's super depressing, but it's so good. If you haven't seen it, it's really, really good. And I love the timelines. I also really like things where there's different timelines and it jumps places, and I love how that that confused me at first, but then I rewatched it, and then that's why I keep rewatching it, because you pick up on something every time you watch that movie.
I feel like that's one of those like quintessential like manic pixie dream girl movies that people always like discuss, like when they think of movie characters that fit that criteria. Clementine's always like
she's definitely
the top of
there.
those.
And I love Jim Carrey in it.
I like him in serious roles.
Yeah, I feel like it's really nice to see him play his character in that movie, because he's always so funny, and like his body movements are so
Ace Ventura.
Yeah, like he's so animated, and then in that movie, like you get to see like another side of him that I honestly didn't really. I mean, I don't. What other serious movies has he been?
Well, I've watched him. He was in this TV show called Kidding, which was really good, and that's like where he plays like a child's talk show host that his like one of his twin sons die, and it's like him processing that, and then him just like
that sounds good.
Yeah, it's like it's really good. I think it had 3 seasons on Showtime. I think that's one of the ones that kind of got like canceled because then COVID happened. And they're like, oh, we got to put some things on the chopping block.
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't realize he was in it.
Yeah,
I thought he stepped away from Hollywood at that point, but I guess he was.
I think that was one of his like comeback shows, more so because it was like late 2010s.
Okay,
that came out.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, he was really good in it. Like his acting, like I feel like I never saw him be serious, so I liked seeing him be so serious in that movie.
Yeah. And like the dreamy, like it's very dreamy and everything. Like, well, yeah, but that's a great choice too.
Yeah.
I would say I prefer that. Like when I think of the manic pixie dream girl things, people always do like I'm not crazy about 500 Days of Summer, but I would pick like that over 500 Days of Summer.
I do like Garden State also though.
Oh, I love that. I feel like we're from New Jersey,
that
so
was top 20 like on my list of things.
That would probably be in my top 22, and that's something that I watched when I was like I remember like because I would ask for like the movies online that I would read that people would say were good. I asked for that for Christmas when I was really young, and then I watched it and was like, oh, this is okay. And then
the same thing.
Yeah, then I got older and I watched it again. And I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I completely get it.
The exact same thing. I remember seeing it when I was little, and I was like, hit or miss. But now as an adult, I think it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
What was now you did your 5. What is the first movie you saw in the movie theaters as a child?
Lion King.
The Lion King. Yeah. I love that because Nikki's answer was, so it's like.
And it's full circle for her because Maddox loves her. So that's really cute actually. Because I don't think I knew that about her.
Yeah, I feel like she kept that one a secret from. I feel like she purposely didn't say that one at first.
Oh, that's cute. But yeah, Lion King, and I get very obsessed with things. So just the way, like as a child, which we didn't touch on this, but I was obsessed with Titanic, and I was like Rose for Halloween one year because I just love the movie so much. And that's how I was with Lion King also. Mm-hmm. And I was Simba for Halloween because I loved Simba.
You were Simba, not Nala?
And that's what I would say. Like every house I went to, my mom said, like, you'd be like, I'm Simba, not Nala, just because I thought Simba was so cool. And I just love that. I still love that movie. I think it's still a wonderful movie.
Did you see the newer one? There was a newer one. No, I feel like I heard it was like good. Like I feel like for it being like a remake of a Disney, I feel like people seem to have enjoyed it. It had good feedback. I want to say like I don't know if it even came out yet now.
No, it did.
Yeah, because it wasn't like Blue Ivy, Beyonce's daughter, like did the voicing of something in it. Yeah,
I didn't see it. I should see it at some point, but I did not. And I saw it on Broadway also, and it was amazing.
Would you go see Northwest fly up of Simba on whatever she did it up?
Well, so I wish, I don't know who the person was, but on TikTok, I saw someone say something interesting about that. Mm-hmm. And their take on it was, it's kind of interesting that Northwest played Simba because Simba's character in Lion King was kind of similar to Northwest in that he was becoming the king of land without having any, like he was entitled to the land without having any like reasoning for it. Like he was just royalty, and Northwest is kind of royalty. So
I didn't read that, or I didn't see anything about that, but that actually does. I
thought it was an
how that adds
take.
up is very interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool perspective on it. I mean, I still don't agree with it, but
yeah, same. What is a movie that you think is underrated?
You know this one already, and I actually tried to find it for you on VHS, but it wasn't going to come in time.
Okay.
I cannot see this now where I'm freezing.
It's okay. Look
Wait,
at.
can we actually take a break for a second?
Yeah.
I'm really thirsty.
Hola, we took a quick break, but we are back. And we are leading into the question of what is your most underrated movie?
Drop Dead Gorgeous.
It's a great movie. It's a great cult classic that is very underrated. And I feel like I'm glad the past few years I've noticed that has been talked about way more on social media.
If you're out there and you have not seen that movie and you have like a slight dark sense of humor, it is a absolute must watch.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so funny. But considering I would still say it's really underrated, but I had a group of friends in high school and we all watched it and we really loved it when we watched it and would go back and quote it all the time. And then as I got older, another group of friends I have love that movie and really all watch it all the time and can quote it. So there are definitely people out there that know the movie, love it, and watch it, but there's so many people that have not seen it and don't appreciate it and don't know how good it is. And it's so funny. And the cast in it is outrageous.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's got like Denise Richards, which like she really wasn't in a ton. Like she was very well known back in the day, but for it being more of a comedy stance, she kind of was more like the sex pot and everything back then. So it's funny that she did play such a comedic role in that. And it's got freaking Brittany Murphy in it too.
Murphy, Kirsten Dunst,
Amy Adams.
Yeah,
it has
Amy
like
Adams
a really young,
so funny,
yeah.
too. I like her in it. She's just so like, I don't know, the fish thing.
Yes.
Like
The whole states part where they're like the different states and showing like what the states are known for. That's like the best part of that whole movie.
It's such a good movie. And especially like just given the times that we're in right now, it's like even kind of, it's kind of a relevant time to watch it and just like, I don't know, embrace the darkness of it.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great movie.
But it's a comedy. It's dark humor,
Yes.
like dark humor. So it's so good.
And it's got Kirsten Dunst in it, which is like even crazier because she was so big back then. So I'm surprised it's not. I guess because Bring It On and stuff like that, she was just
And she's the main like
actress
the
in
focus
it.
in it.
Yeah.
So
I can't think of the name of who plays her mom in it, but
I couldn't either. I was trying to think of it just a second ago.
I just watched Palm Royale and she was like one of the leads in it, and she was so great in it too.
There's that other actress in it. One of the other. Why can't I think of her name?
Sorry, we're googling. Probably not podcast etiquette, but
The movie podcast. You have to look stuff up.
I know. Allison Janney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's so good. She plays like the aunt or something, right?
It's movie. That movie's so good.
That's a great answer. I think that's my favorite answer so far that anyone's given me so far.
Well, and that's why that movie would have been top 5, but like it is so underappreciated. So I feel like it just needs love. Like if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it because
it's not really on a lot of streaming platforms either. I noticed
it's really hard to find. My friend who lives in Alabama found it on DVD for me and sent it to me. So I have to watch it on DVD if I want to watch it, but it's worth it.
Have you heard the whole like physical media thing lately? How like people are like starting to now like hoard. I mean, I always have, but like hoarding physical media because like now they're not distributing as many DVDs and stuff like that. And because streaming platforms, if they're not like it's making like the market of things fluctuate so much with specific DVDs on like eBay and stuff, because if it's not streaming anywhere, it all of a sudden people are like, well, is it going to stream again anywhere? And like 28 days later is like a big one like that. I'm like, Blu-ray is worth a ton of money because it's not streaming anywhere. Yeah.
Just interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised because there's also just like a push, just kind of like, I feel like when we were younger, like how I've acquired all my records, I feel like
the nostalgia roots of having everything.
Every year, every decade goes through that phase of like wanting what they missed out on. So I'm not surprised by that either.
What do you think is an overrated movie?
Saltburn.
Really? I thought you liked it.
I did. I liked it. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just, ever since my mom said that it reminded her of a Lifetime movie, I couldn't get that out of my head. And I'm like, she's right. It is like a very glamorized Lifetime movie.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder how it's going to age. Like, I wonder in 10 years, is it going to be as like, because I feel like I almost feel like because of COVID releases the past few years, and because of the actor strike and everything like that, releases have been kind of like really watered down the past few years. So I almost feel like that was something that was kind of a little bit more original. But was it like peak to how crazy of something that maybe came out in early 2000. Like, I feel like, is it just because all the releases now aren't that good, so that's why it kind of like made such a punch?
I feel like there was a lot of shock value in it.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I like and don't like about it, is that I almost feel like, so that's, my mom ruined it for me by saying it reminded her of a Lifetime movie, because I was like, it kind of is like that. And then I'm like, the shock value part is just there because they couldn't come up with a better story.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't dislike it, but it just, she got that in my head and then I couldn't get it out. But it was beautifully filmed. Like,
yeah.
I loved the filming of it. It was great. Like, it was done really well. I just think that I also didn't have any new movies on my list. I feel like that's the only current movie that
from the past, like the 2020s.
Yeah, and I think that also speaks to what you were kind of just touching on, is that movies just aren't as good as what they used to be. So, I mean, in a sense, it was good because there hasn't been a lot of great movies lately. But in another sense, like, why aren't we getting good movies anymore?
Yeah. Well, me and Dylan had this convo during ours, but like I don't know. I feel like also just, I think like Hollywood is like very within itself, and I feel like it's so hard for fresh blood to come in with anything, and sometimes I think that's the issue.
But then it just also seems like we recycle everything.
Yeah, agree. I've definitely noticed that too.
Yeah,
I watched like the Wonka not reboot. I don't know what it was. It has Timothée Chalamet, which I'm not really that big of a fan of him. I mean, people like love him. I think he looks like a 14-year-old kid to me. I don't, but that's also maybe because I'm 32, and he does look younger.
I mean, he seems good, but for me, he's not like, he doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. But I think that'll be a very controversial take, though. I'm curious to see if anyone... Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to... Because I feel like there's some people that were like diehard about it. I liked it. I liked it for what it was. But the more I think about it, it was not my favorite release within the past 5 years or anything like that. Yeah. I think just probably in the moment when it came out, I think it was just the perfect thing to stir up some drama.
Well, and it came out at a good... Like, I feel like a good time it was released. And then... I mean, I think I had said that to you too. I shared on Reddit like my mom's take on it, and like it got surprisingly a lot of feedback that people agreed with it. So I was like, damn, my mom just really nailed it. Like,
she brought out that mom wisdom.
Yeah, she had her mom wisdom come out of all the years of her watching Lifetime movies.
My mom loves Lifetime movies too.
Yeah.
I always wonder if I'll get to a point where I'll get old enough where I'm like, I just can't digest the more complicated movies. I'm going to just watch Lifetime.
I think it could happen because I'm on a kick right now. Like the other thing my mom watches a lot of is like she rewatches 90210 all the time.
Okay.
And I feel like I do that. Like I'm starting to rewatch.
That'll probably be us with like Gossip Girl and like Sex and the City and stuff like that.
My kids will be like, why are you watching this? And then they'll get into it, which is what I always did. Like I love 90210 because my mom watched it all the time.
What is a future release that's coming out that you saw a trailer for or anything like that like stirred up some interest that you're like looking to see?
Maxine.
Oh, okay. Yes. I keep forgetting that's coming. That's coming out soon, I think.
It is. I was actually going to say we should go see it when
yeah,
it comes out.
I'll go see it. I definitely will. I think I liked X better than I liked. Oh my God, why can't I think of the other? Pearl. I liked Pearl. We saw Pearl in the movies.
Yeah.
I think I liked X a smidge more than Pearl. I appreciate Pearl for what it was, but I am excited for Maxine just because I feel like the aesthetic of it looks really good.
Cool. And I think I don't know if this is it for you with X. I think one of the things I liked about X is that it had that camp factor, like that vintage horror, like a bunch of teenagers out in the woods getting into trouble and getting murdered.
I think it's interesting. I think the singer Halsey is going to be in Maxine too.
And I think that's kind of cool. I'm kind of intrigued to see her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, I will definitely see that with you.
Yeah,
I don't know if he would. Dylan might be into seeing that too, but he hasn't seen Pearl yet. He saw X. But
he should see Pearl then, and we can make it a night where we go out and see it. And Mia Goth, I mean, she's like
Scream Queen. Yeah, she's like the modern Scream Queen,
the new Scream Queen, and she deserves like that title. Like, she's really, really talented at being a Scream Queen.
Yeah. And she's got such like a peculiar look to her, but like at the same time, it's like sexy. It's very interesting.
Yeah, she's not. I don't want to say she's not overly pretty because that's not what I mean at all. But she's not like glamorous looking or anything. She's just got an edge to her, but like a softness at the same time.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's what makes her like a great Scream Queen is that she has that like I don't know. That's je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. I like her like voice, her actual voice. Her real voice is like so tiny, then you don't see it at first. I guess no, Pearl, it's a little bit more rougher, but her voice in real life is like very interesting.
And when she like ticks to crazy, like it's she's cool. She's definitely. I'm excited to see this. I feel, and the other reason I'm excited to see this is it's also very camp. Like I feel like it's in the 80s. Like it's gonna just be cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the styles in it and like the fashion.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What is your movie theater treat and snack that you went towards when you were little? And now that you're kind of older, this is like what I like asking, following up with it. Is like, so when you were little, what did you gravitate towards? And now that you're older, do you still go for the same thing when you're at the movies or when you're like sitting home at the like and watching a movie?
Definitely, I liked snow caps when I was little.
Okay.
I probably wasn't allowed to drink soda at the movies, but definitely snow caps and maybe Raisinets. People will say it's all grandma candy, but I love it.
I like Raisinette. I think that's a great answer.
And actually now, speaking of grandma candy, but I remember going to the movies a lot with my grandma when I was little, and she would always have the cream savers in her purse. And she would, like, I remember always
we walked to Big Lots and got cream savers, the one, like when they came back into the United States or whatever.
Them. Yeah, so they make me, I remember going to the movies and having cream savers, actually, now that was a good memory that you jogged for me. And popcorn. Movie theater popcorn. I still get movie theater popcorn. That's a must. Usually a must.
It's a classic, tried and true.
Yeah. And nowadays I do get soda when I go to the movies, and I like cherry Coke. A nice iced cherry Coke and popcorn is like perfect. And M&Ms.
M&Ms. He's been on my boyfriend Dylan's been on a big kick with the peanut butter M&Ms.
I love the peanut butter M&Ms. They're so good.
I like to tell them they're a little healthier because they got protein.
I tell myself the same thing. I'm like, if I'm going to have chocolate, I'm going to balance it out with peanuts and protein.
There you go. All right. Well, that's wrapping it up. That was all the questions. I think that rounds it out to probably about like 35. Every person so far has been about 35 minutes, which is perfect. But again, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really awesome, this episode. And thank you. I appreciate you so much. You've been so supportive of me doing this, which again, I love you so much for being like that. Cause I feel like I could always like throw my ideas at you and you like bounce back with stuff. It's always just like good vibes.
Well, and I'm very excited to listen because I can't wait to hear everyone else's answers. And like I've said this to you multiple times, I like podcasts, but sometimes I have a hard time listening because if they're like information based, I get really bored. But I feel like this is just like fun and like fresh, and I don't know. I haven't listened to a podcast like this before, so I think it'll be really cool to see.
Awesome.
Or hear.
Well, thank you so much again. All right. Thank you so much for listening to guys. Oh my God, listening, guys. Sorry, now I'm flubbing. I feel like the ending was so nice and sincere and now I'm messing up. But again, thank you so much for listening. Do you want to throw any of your social media or anything like that, or just finish off with any last words?
I'm not really on social media, so.
Oh yes, she's good with that. But she loves her TikTok.
I do love TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to TikTok. I comment on things a lot, so maybe you'll see me there.
Yes. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.